What if I told you some birds never raise their own chicks, instead tricking others into doing it for them? These are the brood parasites, masters of deception who lay their eggs in the nests of unsuspecting foster parents and leave without a second thought. But do host birds ever fight back? And how have these parasites refined their tactics over time? This is BBTV Official, and today we're exposing the 30 birds that trick others into raising their chicks. And if you find this video interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. The common cuckoo, Cuculus canorus, is a bird of quiet precision. Roughly 12.6 to 13.4 inch, with a wingspan stretching close to 23.62 inches, it carries an air of effortless agility. Its slate-gray plumage and barred underparts make it resemble a small hawk, a resemblance that serves it well in avoiding predators. Found across Europe and Asia, it migrates to Africa for the winter, favoring woodlands, wetlands, and open meadows. Though its presence is widespread, it remains an enigma, often heard but rarely seen. Its call, a soft yet piercing cuckoo, echoes through spring landscapes, a sound so familiar it has woven itself into folklore. Yet behind that call is a strategy built on deception. Unlike birds that nurture their own young, the common cuckoo has perfected the art of outsourcing. A female selects a host, often a warbler, pipit, or wagtail, and waits, studying its movements. When the moment is right, she slips into the nest, removes an egg, and replaces it with her own. Her timing is ruthless, her precision almost surgical. The egg, designed to mimic the host's clutch, hatches quickly. What follows is an instinctive act of survival. The cuckoo chick, blind and featherless, heaves its nestmates over the edge. With no rivals left, it commands the undivided care of its foster parents, growing at an astonishing rate, its gaping mouth a constant demand for food. For the host birds, the betrayal is devastating. They exhaust themselves, tirelessly hunting insects, stuffing them into the gaping mouth of an imposter that grows alarmingly fast, sometimes larger than its foster parents. The cuckoo chick, demanding and insatiable, monopolizes every meal, while the true offspring, if they survive the hatching, starve unnoticed. Some hosts have begun to recognize the deception, rejecting foreign eggs or abandoning compromised nests. Yet, the cuckoo evolves in tandem, refining its mimicry, adjusting its tactics. The great spotted cuckoo, Clamator glandarius, is a bird that thrives on deception. Yet unlike many of its relatives, it plays a slightly different game. Larger than the common cuckoo, it reaches around 13.78 to 15.35 inches, with an elegant, elongated tail that makes it appear even more striking in flight. Its plumage is a mix of soft gray and buff, with distinctive white spots scattered across its wings, creating a speckled effect that gives the bird its name. A sharp crest rises from its head, adding to its bold appearance, while its yellow eyes remain ever watchful. Ranging across southern Europe, northern Africa, and parts of the Middle East, the great spotted cuckoo prefers warm, open habitats, thorny scrublands, semi-arid landscapes, and light woodlands where its chosen hosts, primarily magpies and crows, build their nests. Unlike many cuckoos that infiltrate the nests of small songbirds, this species takes a bolder approach, targeting larger, more social birds. The female waits for the perfect moment, slipping an egg into the nest of her unsuspecting host. The great spotted cuckoo does not rely on mimicry. Its eggs stand out, yet the host birds often accept them without suspicion. When the chick hatches, it does not eject its nestmates, but instead grows alongside them, competing for food and attention. For the host parents, the experience is a double-edged sword. Raising a great spotted cuckoo chick is demanding. Its size and constant begging strain the resources of the nest, often leaving the host's own young at a disadvantage. Yet, in an unusual twist, there is evidence that these cuckoo chicks provide an unexpected benefit. When threatened, they secrete a foul-smelling, toxic substance that repels predators, potentially increasing the survival chances of their nest mates. It's a rare case where the parasite offers something in return, a complex relationship shaped by survival rather than mere exploitation. But even with this advantage, the presence of the cuckoo remains a burden, an uninvited guest that forces its host into a role it never intended. The Jacobin cuckoo, Clamater jacobinus, is a bird of striking contrast, its black and white plumage giving it an almost regal appearance. Measuring between 11.81 inches and 13.39 inches, it carries itself with a sleek elegance, its long tail tapering behind like a flowing ribbon. A bold crest rises from its head, adding to its distinct silhouette. Sunlight catches the glossy black of its wings and back, while the pale underparts create a sharp visual divide. This bird doesn't disappear into the foliage like some of its more elusive relatives. Instead, it perches in the open, calling out with a series of sharp, rolling notes that carry far across the landscape. The arrival of the Jacobin cuckoo is often seen as a harbinger of wet season renewal, its appearance closely tied to the rhythms of nature. Moving across dry scrublands, thorn forests, and cultivated fields, it watches and waits, never tied to a single place for long. While other birds focus on building nests and raising chicks, this cuckoo has perfected a different approach. It doesn't construct a home of its own, or invest time in rearing its young. Instead, it leaves that task to unsuspecting foster parents. Small passerines, such as bulbuls and babblers, bear the burden of raising a chick that isn't theirs. The female cuckoo seizes her moment when the nest is left unguarded. With swift precision, she lays her egg, often removing one of the originals to mask the intrusion. The foster parents return, unaware of the deception unfolding before them. When the cuckoo chick hatches, it does not immediately eliminate its nestmates like some of its relatives. Instead, it grows rapidly, outpacing them in size and strength, ensuring that the bulk of food flows in its direction. The foster parents work tirelessly, responding to its insatiable cries, never questioning why their own chicks struggle to survive. The African emerald cuckoo, Chrysococcus cupreus, is a living gem, its iridescent green plumage flashing like molten metal in the sunlight. Males dazzle with a rich emerald sheen across their back and wings, sharply contrasted by their striking yellow underparts. Females, though less flamboyant, are equally captivating with their intricate green and bronze barring that allows them to blend seamlessly into the dappled forest light. Measuring between 7.1 and 7.9 inches, this cuckoo may be small, but its presence is undeniable. Its call, a clear, whistling melody, rings through the treetops, often revealing its location before a glimpse can be caught. Unlike some cuckoo species that thrive in open woodlands, the African emerald cuckoo stays within the sanctuary of thick forests, moving deftly through a maze of leaves and branches. It is here that it plays its most cunning game, targeting the nests of unsuspecting flycatchers and warblers. The female waits for the right moment, slipping in unnoticed to deposit her egg among the clutch. Her egg, pale and subtly luminous, is close enough in appearance to go undetected by the hosts. Yet its presence marks the beginning of a quiet but ruthless takeover. As the days pass, the deception unfolds. At first, the cuckoo chick appears no different from its nestmates, its open beak demanding constant nourishment, but it grows faster, outpacing its foster siblings in both size and appetite. Unlike some brood parasites that actively remove competing chicks, this one relies on sheer dominance, its insatiable hunger gradually starving out the rightful offspring. The unwitting host parents, tirelessly feeding their oversized charge, fail to notice their own young fading away. Some bird species have begun evolving defenses, learning to identify and reject foreign eggs. Yet the African emerald cuckoo continues its age-old trickery, adapting, refining its strategy, always one step ahead in the evolutionary arms race. The black cuckoo, Cuculus clamosus, is a shadow among the trees, moving with an eerie stillness that makes it easy to overlook. Unlike its more muted relatives, this cuckoo stands out with sleek jet-black feathers, a piercing yellow eye, and a sharp, slightly hooked beak. Females sometimes appear in a rare rufous morph with rich chestnut-colored streaks, adding an unexpected variation to their appearance. Averaging 11.81 to 12.60 inches, it is neither the largest nor the smallest cuckoo, but its presence is unmistakable. Its call, long, slow whistles descending in tone, carries through the forests and savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, a sound that lingers in the air like an unbroken question. The black cuckoo follows the shifting rains, adapting to new landscapes without leaving Africa. It prefers thick vegetation, riverine forests, dense woodlands, and even acacia scrub, anywhere it can vanish into the foliage while watching for the perfect opportunity. This bird does not waste energy building nests or tending to its young. Instead, the female operates with quiet calculation, singling out a host, often a robin chat or shrike, waiting for the precise moment to act. With swift efficiency, she lays her egg in the unguarded nest and disappears. Unlike other cuckoos that rely on mimicry to fool their hosts, this species trusts in speed and stealth. The host, oblivious to the intrusion, unknowingly accepts the foreign egg, setting the stage for what comes next. For the host parents, the betrayal is costly. The cuckoo chick hatches first, its relentless cries demanding attention, its rapid growth overshadowing anything else in the nest. Unlike some cuckoo species, it does not always eject the host's eggs or chicks, but it doesn't need to. Its sheer size and insatiable hunger ensure that it dominates every feeding. The exhausted parents, driven by instinct, deliver food tirelessly, unaware that their own young may be too weak to compete. The plaintive cuckoo, Cacamantis marilinus, is a spectral presence in the landscape, a bird more often heard than seen. Its plumage varies between individuals, but males typically wear a sleek cloak of soft gray or rufous, their underparts pale and finely streaked. Females, with their warm brown hues and intricate barring, melt into the foliage, perfectly adapted for stealth. Measuring between 7.5 and 9 inches in length, this cuckoo is slender yet swift, built for weaving through tangled undergrowth with precision. Though visually elusive, its call, a sorrowful, repetitive pee-pee-pee, rings out across wetlands, woodlands, and open fields, a sound that haunts the air like an unshaken lament. From the foothills of the Indian subcontinent to the far reaches of China, Southeast Asia, and the Indonesian archipelago, the plaintive cuckoo thrives in diverse habitats. Unlike some of its forest-bound cousins, it is equally at home in open landscapes, from rice paddies and mangroves to village groves and parklands. It seeks out areas rich in small birds, particularly prinias, tailor birds, and warblers, tiny industrious species whose nests become the unwitting cradle for an imposter. The female watches from cover, patient and calculating. When the moment is right, she moves quickly, slipping in to deposit her egg before vanishing like a shadow. Her egg, a near-perfect match in color and pattern, is an invisible threat nestled among the host's clutch. Once hatched, the cuckoo chick wastes no time in asserting its dominance. Unlike some other parasitic cuckoos that merely outcompete their nestmates, the young plaintive cuckoo takes a more ruthless approach. It ejects the other eggs or chicks, ensuring it alone receives the unwavering care of its foster parents. The tiny hosts, oblivious to the deception, work tirelessly, stuffing food into the ever-demanding beak of a chick that is not their own. Some species have begun to fight back, learning to recognize and remove suspicious eggs, but the plaintive cuckoo is a master of adaptation, adjusting its tactics with each new challenge. As the sun rises over the wetlands, its mournful cry echoes once more. A sound both beautiful and deceptive. Somewhere amid the reeds, a nest has been claimed, and a cycle as old as time continues to unfold. The banded bay cuckoo, Cucumantys sonorotai, moves like a shadow through the treetops, its presence often revealed only by its soft, descending whistles. Clad in warm, earthy tones, it blends seamlessly with the dense foliage. Its upper parts a smooth chestnut brown, while its underparts are marked by delicate rufous barring. Its piercing yellow eyes, framed by a sharp beak, give it an air of quiet watchfulness. Measuring between 9.4 and 10.6 inches, this slender cuckoo is built for stealth, slipping effortlessly through the branches with ghostly precision. Unlike its louder relatives, its song is a series of gentle, melancholic notes drifting through the air like an unspoken secret. From the rolling foothills of the Himalayas to the humid forests of India, Sri Lanka, and across Southeast Asia, the banded bay cuckoo thrives in a range of environments. Unlike some cuckoos that stick to deep forests, it is remarkably adaptable, found in moist woodlands, mangroves, plantations, and even well-vegetated gardens. It seeks out regions teeming with small birds, particularly babblers, tailor birds, and warblers. Devoted parents who, unbeknownst to them, will soon raise a chick that is not their own. Perched in the shadows, the female watches with patient precision. Timing is everything. The moment the host leaves the nest unattended, she acts swiftly, slipping in to deposit her egg before disappearing back into the greenery. The deception is nearly flawless. Her egg mimics the host's clutch closely enough to evade suspicion. For the unsuspecting foster parents, the future of their own young has already been compromised. Once the cuckoo chick hatches, the balance in the nest shifts dramatically. Though it does not always eject its nestmates, its rapid growth and insatiable appetite give it an overwhelming advantage. The desperate host parents, driven by instinct, focus their energy on the ever-demanding chick, while their own offspring weaken, unable to compete. The common Koel, Eudynamys scolopaceus, is a bird that announces its presence long before it is seen. Its unmistakable, ringing coo-oo call pierces the morning air, a sound so persistent that it has become woven into folklore across its range. Measuring 15 to 17 inches in length, this cuckoo is larger than most of its relatives, its sleek body built for swift, direct flight. Males are striking, cloaked in glossy black with deep red eyes that gleam like embers. Females, on the other hand, wear a mottled mix of brown and cream, their intricate speckling offering better camouflage among the leaves. Despite its size, the Koel is an expert at moving unnoticed, slipping through the canopy with ease as it watches and waits. Spanning across South and Southeast Asia, as well as parts of Australia, the common Koel thrives in diverse environments, from dense forests to city parks and cultivated farmlands. It is a bird that has adapted well to human-altered landscapes, often nesting close to human settlements where its hosts are abundant. Instead of raising its own young, it entrusts that duty to others, particularly crows, mynas, and drongos. A female Koel is a patient observer, tracking the movements of her chosen host for days. When the time is right, she moves swiftly, sneaking into the nest to lay her egg before vanishing just as quickly. Her egg bears little resemblance to the host's clutch, yet many hosts fail to recognize the intruder. Unlike some cuckoos, the Koel chick does not immediately evict its nestmates, but it grows at an astonishing rate. Its hunger is insatiable, its cries loud and urgent, triggering an instinctive response from its foster parents. The rightful chicks, smaller and weaker, struggle to compete. Over time, they are outmatched, starved of food, overshadowed by the demanding intruder. Some host species have learned to recognize and reject the foreign egg, but many still fall victim to the Koel's tactics. The channel-billed cuckoo, Cythrops novae hollandiae, is an imposing presence in the sky, its massive curved bill setting it apart from any other cuckoo. Stretching 22 to 26 inches in length with an impressive wingspan, it holds the title of the world's largest cuckoo. Its pale gray body contrasts with broad, dark-tipped wings, built for long, steady flight. The oversized, down-curved bill, thick and powerful, gives the bird a prehistoric look, almost like something from another time. When in flight, its long tail fans out, and its distinctive croaking calls echo across the landscape, carrying a tone that seems out of place in the natural world. This nomadic cuckoo moves with the seasons, breeding in northern and eastern Australia before migrating north to Indonesia and New Guinea as the temperatures drop. It prefers open woodlands, tropical forests, and even suburban areas where large fruit-bearing trees provide an easy food source. But fruit is not its only focus. Instead of raising its own chicks, the channel-billed cuckoo relies on deception, targeting large, intelligent birds like crows, ravens, and magpies as unwilling foster parents. A female spends days watching from a distance, tracking the movements of her chosen host. When the nest is momentarily left unguarded, she swoops in, swiftly laying her eggs before the host can detect the intrusion. Unlike smaller cuckoo species that rely on egg mimicry, this one takes a different approach. Its eggs often stand out, yet many hosts fail to reject them. The channel-billed cuckoo chick is large from birth, growing at a rapid pace that soon dwarfs its nestmates. Though it does not forcibly eject them, its sheer size and constant demands for food push the rightful offspring to the margins. The exhausted crows or magpies continue feeding it, drawn by an instinct they cannot resist, unaware that their own young are being slowly outcompeted. Some host species have begun to recognize the deception, attacking cuckoos on sight or abandoning compromised nests. But the channel-billed cuckoo persists, adjusting its strategy, ensuring that each migration season brings a new generation raised by unsuspecting parents. The African cuckoo, Cuculus gularis, moves through the canopy with quiet precision, a ghost in the treetops. It measures about 12.60 to 13.39 inches, with a wingspan extending close to 21.65 inches. Its plumage is a subtle mix of slate gray on the back and pale barring on the underparts, allowing it to blend effortlessly into dappled sunlight. A sharp, slightly curved beak and piercing yellow eyes hint at its sharp instincts, but despite its presence, it is rarely seen for long. More often, it is heard, a resonant, rhythmic call that echoes through the savannas and woodlands of sub-Saharan Africa, a sound marking both its arrival and its intention. Unlike many migratory cuckoos, the African cuckoo stays within the continent year-round, adapting to varied landscapes, from dry acacia scrublands to riverine forests. It thrives where small passerines, particularly species of warblers, thrive, because where they nest, the cuckoo's story begins. A female does not build a home of her own. She watches, waits, and exploits. Timing is everything. She observes a chosen host, often a fork-tailed drongo or robin chat, memorizing their habits. When the nest is left unguarded, she acts. In a swift, calculated motion, she removes one of the host's eggs and lays her own in its place, mimicking its size and coloration. The deception is seamless. When the cuckoo chick hatches, instinct takes over. Though blind and barely feathered, it senses what must be done. Using its broad back, it shoves the host's eggs or chicks over the nest's edge. There is no hesitation, no mercy, only the certainty of survival. For the host birds, the loss is absolute. They toil under the illusion of parenthood, bringing food to a chick that is not their own. The young cuckoo grows quickly, its ceaseless cries triggering an instinctive response from its foster parents, who struggle to meet its relentless demands. By the time the deception is revealed, it is too late. Some hosts, through generations of trial and loss, have learned to recognize and reject foreign eggs, pushing back against the parasite's strategy. But the African cuckoo does not remain static. The red-chested cuckoo, Cuculus solitarius, is a bird that carries an air of mystery, slipping through the forest with practiced stealth. Unlike the duller tones of many cuckoos, this species stands out with its striking contrast. Deep slate-gray feathers covering its back and wings, while its chest glows with a warm, rusty red. Its piercing yellow eyes seem ever watchful, missing nothing. Measuring around 11.81 to 12.60 inches, it is sleek but sturdy, built for silent movement. Yet, for all its evasiveness, its presence is often revealed by sound rather than sight. Its distinctive, repetitive piet-mai-vrou call rings out through the woodlands of Africa, a haunting melody that has woven itself into local folklore and legends. It thrives in dense forests, riverine thickets, and well-wooded gardens, wherever there is enough cover to observe its unsuspecting hosts. This bird does not waste time on nest building or parental care. Instead, it watches, waits, and deceives. A female chooses her target, often a thrush or robin, waiting until the host leaves its nest unguarded. In a swift, calculated motion, she removes an egg and replaces it with her own. The deception is subtle, but devastating. The cuckoo's egg is designed to resemble the host's clutch, ensuring it goes undetected. When it hatches, the true drama unfolds. The chick, small and blind, acts purely on instinct. With determined effort, it heaves the other eggs or nestlings out of the nest, securing sole ownership of its foster parent's care. For the host birds, they toil relentlessly, bringing food to a chick that outgrows them within weeks. Its cries are relentless, triggering a deep parental instinct that keeps them feeding, even as their own offspring lie discarded. Some host species have adapted, learning to recognize the intruder's egg and remove it before the deception takes hold. But the red-chested cuckoo is not static. It evolves alongside them, refining its mimicry, adjusting its strategy. The Himalayan cuckoo, Cuculus saturatus, moves like a whisper through the towering forests of its namesake mountains, rarely drawing attention to itself. With a body length of 11.81 to 12.60 inches and a wingspan built for effortless flight, it carries an elegance that belies its cunning nature. Its upper body is cloaked in soft gray, while its underparts are streaked with fine, dark barring, a pattern that blends seamlessly with the dappled light filtering through the canopy. Its sharp, yellow-ringed eyes are always scanning, not for prey, but for opportunity. The hollow, repetitive notes of its call echo through the valleys, a sound as much a part of the Himalayan landscape as the rushing rivers and rustling pines. It prefers dense woodlands, thriving in altitudes where few other birds dare to nest. It takes no part in the responsibilities of raising young. Instead, it watches from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to act. A female selects a host, often a warbler or flycatcher, observing their nesting patterns with quiet patience. Then, in a move so swift it goes unnoticed, she slips into the nest, replaces one of the host's eggs with her own, and vanishes. Her deception is nearly flawless. The cuckoo egg bears an uncanny resemblance to those of its foster parent. It prefers dense woodlands, thriving in altitudes where few other birds dare to nest. It takes no part in the responsibilities of raising young. Instead, It watches from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to act. A female selects a host, often a warbler or flycatcher, observing their nesting patterns with quiet patience. Then, in a move so swift it goes unnoticed, she slips into the nest, replaces one of the host's eggs with her own, and vanishes. Her deception is nearly flawless. The cuckoo egg bears an uncanny resemblance to those of its foster parent. The Himalayan cuckoo, Cuculus saturatus, moves like a whisper through the towering forests of its namesake mountains, rarely drawing attention to itself. With a body length of 11.81 to 12.60 inches and a wingspan built for effortless flight, it carries an elegance that belies its cunning nature. Its upper body is cloaked in soft gray, while its underparts are streaked with fine, dark barring, a pattern that blends seamlessly with the dappled light filtering through the canopy. Its sharp, yellow-ringed eyes are always scanning, not for prey, but for opportunity. The hollow, repetitive notes of its call echo through the valleys, a sound as much a part of the Himalayan landscape as the rushing rivers and rustling pines. This cuckoo is a traveler, migrating vast distances between its breeding grounds in the forests of northern Eurasia and its wintering territories in Southeast Asia and Australia. The Oriental cuckoo has perfected the art of deception. When the time is right, she makes her move. In a matter of seconds, she removes one of the host's eggs and lays her own in its place, an act of calculated intrusion. The cuckoo's egg, carefully evolved to resemble the host's clutch, blends in almost seamlessly. The cuckoo chick, though fragile at birth, acts with instinctive determination. It systematically pushes the other eggs or hatchlings over the nest's edge, ensuring it alone receives care. Its rapid growth and incessant begging demand the full attention of its foster parents, who work tirelessly to meet its insatiable appetite. Meanwhile, their own lost offspring, unnoticed, forgotten, are never given a chance. Some species have begun to resist, recognizing and rejecting the foreign egg before the cycle can begin. But the Oriental cuckoo, an ever-adapting parasite, refines its mimicry with each passing generation. The Levaillant's cuckoo, Clamator levaillanti, moves through the African landscape with an air of restless energy, measuring around 14.17 to 15.75 inches. It stands out with its long, streamlined body and elegant tail. Its plumage creates a striking contrast: glossy black wings and back set against a pale, streaked underside. A sharp, distinctive crest gives it a regal presence, making it easily recognizable among the thick foliage where it hides. Its call, a rapid, chattering burst of sound, cuts through the dry savannas and riverine forests, an unmistakable voice echoing across the landscape. This cuckoo thrives across sub-Saharan Africa, favoring acacia scrublands, thickets, and semi-arid woodlands. Instead of migrating over vast distances, it follows the shifting rains, always staying close to regions where its hosts are nesting. Babblers, with their highly social nature and cooperative breeding, provide the perfect targets. The female cuckoo watches and waits, studying the rhythm of her chosen host's nesting routine. The moment the nest is unguarded, she swoops in, replaces one of the host's eggs with her own, and vanishes before suspicion arises. The cuckoo chick hatches first, growing faster and demanding more food than its nestmates. Though it does not always eject them, its rapid development and constant begging secure most of the available resources. With each breeding season, another nest is claimed, another young cuckoo raised by parents that never knew the truth. The Diederik cuckoo, Chrysococcix capreus, dazzles in the sunlight, its iridescent green back gleaming against a bright white belly streaked with bronze. This small cuckoo, measuring only 7.09 to 7.87 inches, carries a striking intensity enhanced by its deep red eyes that seem to miss nothing. Its slender frame allows for quick darting movements through the canopy, where it often perches to survey its surroundings. Though its presence may be fleeting, its call, a sharp, repetitive Diederik, fills the air, a sound so distinct that it often gives away the bird's location before it comes into view. Thriving across sub-Saharan Africa and parts of the Middle East, this cuckoo follows the shifting seasons, favoring open woodlands, thorny scrub, and cultivated fields. It is drawn to areas where small songbirds nest in abundance, particularly weavers and finches, which unwittingly become caretakers for its offspring. The female watches from a hidden perch, studying her chosen host's routine with careful precision. The moment the nest is left unguarded, she acts. In a swift, calculated movement, she lays her egg among the host's clutch and vanishes. The deception is seamless. Her egg closely mimics the size and coloration of the others, ensuring it remains unnoticed. The cuckoo chick hatches first, stronger, faster, and instinctively driven by survival. With relentless determination, it pushes the host's eggs or hatchlings out of the nest, securing all attention for itself. The foster parents, oblivious to the switch, respond to its endless begging, tirelessly bringing food to a chick that is not their own. And so, as its shimmering green feathers flash through the trees and its call rings across the savanna, another nest is claimed. Another young cuckoo is raised by unsuspecting parents. The Klaas's cuckoo, Chrysococcix claas. With metallic emerald feathers, their backs reflecting sunlight with each movement, while females display a more muted mix of brown and white, their speckled plumage blending seamlessly into the foliage. Measuring between 6.3 and 7.1 inches in length, this small cuckoo is built for quick, agile flights between branches. Though often difficult to spot, its piercing, repetitive call, Klaas, 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 cuts through the forest, a distinct sound that reveals its presence even when the bird itself remains hidden. From the dry savannas of sub-Saharan Africa to dense riverine woodlands and even well-wooded gardens, Klaas's cuckoo thrives in diverse habitats. It follows the rain, moving with the seasons to take advantage of the breeding cycles of its unsuspecting hosts. Areas rich in insects provide the perfect hunting ground, but the real target is always the nests of sunbirds and warblers, devoted parents that will unknowingly raise a chick that isn't theirs. When the nest is briefly abandoned, she makes her move, swift and precise, depositing her egg among the others. The resemblance is close enough to avoid suspicion, ensuring her offspring will receive all the care and nourishment it needs. The foster parents, responding to an instinct they cannot override, work tirelessly, unaware that their own chicks are struggling to survive. Some host species have begun recognizing and rejecting foreign eggs, an adaptation forged through generations of loss. Yet, Klaas's cuckoo remains relentless, refining its tactics, adjusting its approach. And as its haunting call drifts once more through the canopy, another nest unknowingly falls under its influence. The brush cuckoo, Cacomantis variolosus, measuring 9.8 to 11 inches in length, it carries a slender frame, built for nimble flight through thick vegetation. Its plumage is a soft, warm brown on the back, fading to a pale, finely barred underside, offering just enough contrast to break up its outline. A sharp, hooked beak and piercing yellow eyes give it a focused, calculating expression. Though often elusive, its distinctive descending whistle carries far through the forest, a sound that lingers in the humid air long after the bird itself has disappeared. From the dense rainforests of northern Australia and New Guinea to the coastal mangroves and woodland edges of Southeast Asia, the brush cuckoo thrives in humid, shaded environments. It prefers areas teeming with insect life, following the seasonal shifts in its host populations. Small passerines, including garrigones and honeyeaters, become unwitting foster parents to its young. When the moment arrives, She acts quickly, slipping into the nest while the host is away. An egg is removed, replaced by her own, a near match in size and shape. With her work complete, she vanishes into the foliage, leaving the deception to unfold. Once the brush cuckoo chick hatches, the nest dynamic shifts dramatically. Though it does not always expel its nestmates, its faster growth and louder begging calls ensure it dominates the feeding hierarchy. Its insatiable appetite gradually drains resources from its foster siblings, which often struggle to survive. The exhausted host parents, responding instinctively to the loudest demands, devote all their energy to feeding the ever-growing chick, unknowingly raising a bird that will never be their own. Over time, some host species have begun to develop defensive strategies, recognizing and rejecting foreign eggs, but the brush cuckoo continuously evolves, refining its parasitic techniques. As the sun rises over the forest, the unmistakable, accelerating whistle of the brush cuckoo echoes through the trees, a sound that signals another successful deception, ensuring that the cycle of trickery endures. The Pacific Koel, Eudynamys orientalis, is a bird that blends stealth with unmistakable sound. Its eerie, rising cooey call echoes through tropical forests and coastal woodlands, signaling its presence long before it is spotted. Measuring 15 to 17 inches in length, this large cuckoo moves with a sleek, purposeful grace. Males are draped in glossy black, their crimson eyes burning against the darkness of their plumage, while females are streaked in earthy browns and creams, their intricate patterning breaking up their outline among the leaves. Despite its size, the Pacific Koel is an expert at staying out of sight, slipping through the treetops with practiced ease. It does not build its own nest, nor does it raise its own young. Instead, it leaves that task to unsuspecting hosts, predominantly large, social birds like crows and magpie larks. A female Koel watches her target closely, waiting for just the right moment. When the nest is left unguarded, she moves in swiftly, depositing her egg before disappearing into the canopy. Once incubation begins, the deception is set in motion. Once hatched, the Koel chick does not eject its nestmates as some cuckoos do, but its sheer size and insatiable hunger give it a powerful advantage. It begs persistently and grows rapidly, often outpacing and starving its foster siblings. The devoted host parents, unaware of the deception, tirelessly provide food for the demanding chick, which soon dwarfs them in size. Over time, some host species have learned to recognize and reject Koel eggs, but the Pacific Koel, ever adaptable, continues to refine its reproductive tactics. As dawn breaks over the forest, the Koel's unmistakable rising call pierces the morning air, a sound that signals another successful deception, ensuring that the cycle of parasitism and survival carries on. The Madagascar cuckoo, Cuculus rochi, measuring 12 to 13 inches in length, its slender frame and streamlined wings make it a swift and agile flyer. Soft gray-brown feathers cover its back, while its underparts display pale barring that disrupts its outline among the branches. A piercing yellow eye and a sharp, curved beak complete its keen, observant look. Often hidden from view, it is most easily recognized by its distinct, repetitive coo-coo-coo call, a sound that signals the changing of seasons across the forests of Madagascar. Ranging across Madagascar's rainforests, dry woodlands, and mangroves, this cuckoo follows the breeding cycles of its host birds. As the nesting season begins, it watches and waits, searching for the perfect opportunity. Raising its own young is not part of its survival strategy. Instead, it relies on unsuspecting foster parents, most commonly warblers and robin chats, to do the work for it. A female tracks her chosen host, memorizing its movements. When the nest is momentarily left unattended, she acts quickly, removing one egg and placing her own in its place. The host parents, responding to instinct rather than recognition, tirelessly feed the growing imposter while their own chicks are left struggling. Over time, some species have learned to spot and reject the foreign egg before it hatches. Yet the Madagascar cuckoo remains adaptable, adjusting its strategy to stay ahead. And as its familiar call drifts through the treetops once more, another nest falls into its cycle of deception. The Indian cuckoo, Cuculus micropterus, moves through the treetops like a fleeting shadow, rarely seen but often heard. It is a medium-sized cuckoo, measuring about 12.60 to 13.39 inches, with broad wings and a long tail that add to its swift, agile flight. Its plumage is a mix of soft gray on the upper body and pale, barred underparts, giving it a subtle yet refined appearance. The large, round yellow eyes stand out against its dark facial markings, always alert, always watching. Unlike some cuckoos that rely on blending into their surroundings, the Indian cuckoo announces itself boldly, with a rhythmic four-note call that carries through the forest like a haunting, unanswered question. It favors thick woodlands, bamboo groves, and even cultivated lands, slipping unnoticed among the foliage. Where there are trees and nesting birds, there is opportunity. This species has abandoned all parental duties, opting instead for a life of deception. The female carefully selects a host, often a drongo, bubul, or shrike, observing their nesting habits with meticulous patience. The moment the nest is left unguarded, she strikes, swiftly removing an egg and replacing it with her own. The cuckoo's egg closely resembles those of its chosen host, making detection unlikely. The violet cuckoo, Chrysococcus xanthorhynchus, is a flash of iridescence against the green canopy, its feathers catching the light with a deep purple sheen. Males shimmer with metallic violet plumage, a striking contrast against their bright yellow bill, while females wear a mix of barred brown and white, offering a more camouflaged appearance. Measuring 6.3 to 7.1 inches in length, this cuckoo is small, but sleek, its compact body built for agile movements through the treetops. Its presence is often revealed by its high-pitched, repetitive whistles, sharp and ringing. Stretching across South and Southeast Asia, from the Indian subcontinent to the islands of Borneo and Sumatra, the violet cuckoo thrives in humid lowland forests and well-wooded areas. It favors places teeming with insect life, particularly where fig trees and flowering plants attract a variety of small birds. Nesting birds become its unwitting hosts, particularly sunbirds and spider hunters, tiny, energetic species devoted to raising their young. From a hidden perch, the female watches intently, waiting for the right moment to act. When the nest is left unattended, she moves swiftly, laying her egg among the host's clutch before vanishing into the shadows. The deception is subtle. Her egg closely matches the size and color of those already present. Once it hatches, the shift in the nest's balance begins. The cuckoo chick, though small at first, develops rapidly, outcompeting its nestmates for food. Unlike some of its relatives, it does not always push them from the nest, but its relentless begging and rapid growth leave little room for the others to survive. Some sunbirds have begun detecting and rejecting foreign eggs, forcing the violet cuckoo to continuously refine its strategy. Yet, the cycle persists. As the morning light filters through the jungle, a metallic flash cuts through the trees, and a familiar whistling call announces that another nest has unknowingly been claimed. The shining bronze cuckoo, Chrysococcus lucidus, measuring 5.9 to 6.7 inches in length, it is one of the smaller cuckoo species, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in striking coloration. Fine white barring streaks its chest and belly, contrasting with the deep metallic sheen of its wings and back. A sharp, watchful eye completes its appearance, ever alert to movement around it. It thrives in humid forests, coastal scrublands, and well-vegetated gardens, always staying close to areas rich in insect life. Small songbirds, particularly thornbills, garrigones, and fairy wrens, unknowingly become the caretakers of its young. The female cuckoo, patient and precise, waits for the right moment, watching as a host pair builds their nest. When the nest is momentarily left unguarded, she acts, swiftly placing her egg among the others before retreating to the safety of the canopy. The little bronze cuckoo, Chrysococcix minutilis, measuring just 5.1 to 5.9 inches in length, it is the smallest brood parasitic cuckoo, yet its shimmering metallic green plumage gives it an almost jewel-like presence. Males display a deep, glossy emerald sheen on their backs and wings, while their pale underparts are neatly barred. Females, more subdued, trade some of that brightness for muted browns and streaking. A striking red eye ring stands out on the male, giving him a sharp, almost piercing expression. It prefers the dense vegetation of mangroves, rainforests, and woodlands, often keeping to the higher branches where it can observe unnoticed. Where there are small, diligent birds tending their nests, the cuckoo lingers nearby, waiting for the right opportunity. From a hidden perch, the female cuckoo studies their movements, waiting for them to leave their clutch unattended. In a swift, precise motion, she slips into the nest, replaces one of the host's eggs with her own, and vanishes before suspicion arises. Her egg, often smaller than the host's, blends in just enough to go unnoticed. For the host parents, the cost is slow, but inevitable. The cuckoo chick, hatching first, grows quickly, its constant begging overpowering the calls of any remaining nestmates. The foster parents, responding to instinct alone, continue feeding the ever-growing chick, unaware that their own young are fading. Some hosts have begun to recognize and reject the intruder's egg before it hatches. Yet the little bronze cuckoo remains relentless, shifting its tactics to stay ahead. The chestnut-breasted cuckoo, Cacomantis castanaventris, measuring 9.8 to 11 inches in length, it carries a sleek frame built for silent maneuvering through thick foliage. Its deep chestnut-colored breast sets it apart from its relatives, contrasting with the slate-gray plumage on its back and wings. A sharp, slightly curved beak and alert, golden yellow eyes give it a look of quiet determination. More often heard than seen, its low, rhythmic call, repetitive and melancholic, drifts through the trees, a sound that hints at its unseen presence. Thriving in the tropical rainforests of northern Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands, it follows the pulse of the seasons, staying close to areas where insect life is abundant and small songbirds are nesting. Fairy wrens, garrigones, and honey-eaters often become its unsuspecting hosts, raising a chick they never intended to hatch. The female cuckoo watches carefully from the shadows, memorizing the patterns of her target. When the opportunity presents itself, she moves with calculated speed, replacing one of the host's eggs with her own before vanishing into the green maze of the forest. Her deception is subtle. The egg bears enough resemblance to the others that the hosts rarely detect the swap. The fan-tailed cuckoo, Cacomantis flabelliformis, measuring 9.8 to 11 inches in length, it carries a slender, streamlined form, its long, rounded tail fanning out in flight, revealing white-tipped feathers that flash between the branches. A soft slate-gray coat covers its back and wings, while its underparts glow with a warm cinnamon hue. A sharp yellow eye stands out against the smooth curve of its head, always scanning, always calculating. Stretching across Australia, New Zealand, and the forests of New Guinea, the fan-tailed cuckoo thrives in cool, temperate woodlands, coastal scrub, and even mountainous forests. It favors areas with thick vegetation, where it can move unseen while observing its intended hosts, small songbirds, particularly thornbills, scrubwrens, and flycatchers, become the unsuspecting caretakers of its young. When the nest is left unattended, she moves with swift precision, removing an egg and replacing it with her own. The deception is subtle, the foreign egg close enough in size and coloration to avoid detection. As the hosts continue incubating, unaware of the intrusion, the real betrayal has already begun. The long-tailed Koel, Urodynamous titensis, is a traveler of vast distances, a bird whose life is shaped by the changing seasons. Measuring 15 to 17 inches in length, it is slender and built for endurance, with an elongated tail that gives it an unmistakable silhouette in flight. Its plumage is a mix of warm browns and streaked patterns, offering subtle camouflage among the trees, where it moves with quiet precision. Unlike the bold, dark appearance of its Koel relatives, this species favors a more understated look, blending into the forests it visits. It favors coastal forests, wetlands, and areas dense with native trees, always staying close to regions where its preferred hosts are nesting. Small songbirds, particularly the tiny but fiercely territorial gray garrigone, unknowingly become caretakers to an intruder. The female Koel waits patiently, watching as the host builds its delicate nest. When the opportunity arises, she acts with precise timing, depositing her egg among the host's clutch and vanishing before suspicion can arise. Her egg, slightly larger than the rest, often goes unnoticed in the tightly woven nest. The pallid cuckoo, Cuckoo pallidus, measuring 11 to 13 inches in length, this slender bird is built for speed and stealth. Its plumage, a mix of soft grays and pale browns, lacks the bold markings seen in many of its relatives, allowing it to disappear against the bark of eucalyptus trees. A sharp, slightly curved beak and piercing yellow eyes give it a watchful, almost calculating expression. Ranging across Australia and into parts of New Guinea and Indonesia, the pallid cuckoo favors open forests, dry scrublands, and grasslands where scattered trees provide the cover it needs. This species does not build nests or rear its own young. Instead, it entrusts the task to smaller birds, particularly honey-eaters and whistlers. Moving with swift precision, she deposits her egg among the others, ensuring it closely matches the host's clutch in color and pattern. Her work is done in seconds and she vanishes, leaving the unsuspecting foster parents to continue incubating. The Horsfield's cuckoo, Cuckoo horsfieldi, moves through the treetops with measured precision, its subtle coloration blending into the dappled light of the forest. Measuring 9.8 to 11 inches in length, it has a slender frame suited for quick, darting flights between branches. Its plumage is a mix of warm brown and soft gray, with faint streaking along the underparts that provides just enough contrast to break up its silhouette. A piercing yellow eye and a sharp, slightly curved beak give it an alert, calculating presence. Though it rarely draws attention to itself, its distinct, ascending whistles carry through the canopy. Spread across South and Southeast Asia, as well as Northern Australia. It prefers areas where small songbirds are abundant, ensuring plenty of potential hosts for its unique breeding strategy. The female watches from a concealed perch, studying the routine of her chosen host, often warblers, fantails, or flycatchers. Moving with practiced speed, she removes one of the host's eggs and replaces it with her own, a near-perfect match in size and color. With her task complete, she vanishes, leaving the host birds unaware of the silent betrayal unfolding within their nest. The thick-billed cuckoo, Pachycoccix audiberti, measuring 13 to 14 inches in length, this cuckoo is robustly built, its namesake thick bill giving it a powerful, unmistakable profile. Its plumage is a mix of deep brown and gray, with a slightly darker head and a pale, finely barred belly that provides just enough contrast to break up its form among the foliage. Its broad wings and long tail make it an agile flyer, able to maneuver swiftly through dense vegetation. While it is often elusive, its call, a rapid series of rising urgent notes, betrays its presence, cutting through the quiet of the forest like a hidden signal. It follows the nesting cycles of its hosts, moving in sync with the rhythms of other birds rather than the seasons themselves. Nest building is not part of its survival plan. Instead, it operates as a brood parasite, laying its eggs in the nests of unsuspecting foster parents. Vangas, known for their tight-knit nesting behaviors, are frequent targets. A female spends days watching, carefully tracking the movements of her chosen host. When the nest is left unguarded, she acts swiftly, depositing her egg among the others before slipping away unnoticed. Unlike some cuckoos that mimic the appearance of host eggs, this species relies more on precise timing, ensuring that its chick hatches first and gains an early advantage. The pied bronze cuckoo, Chrysococcix cressirostris, is a small yet striking bird, its compact frame measuring 5.9 to 6.7 inches in length. Its plumage is a mix of metallic green and bronze on the back, with bold black and white barring across its chest and belly, giving it a distinctive, patterned look. A short but thick bill, built for precision feeding, adds to its stocky appearance. Its sharp, yellow-ringed eyes are always alert, scanning the landscape for movement. Though often quiet, it occasionally gives a high-pitched, trilling call that cuts through the stillness of the trees. A brief sound that hints at its presence before it vanishes once more into the foliage. Found in the dense forests and scrublands of sub-Saharan Africa, the pied bronze cuckoo moves where small songbirds nest in abundance. It prefers areas with thick vegetation, staying hidden while it observes potential hosts. The female watches carefully, tracking her chosen host's daily routine. The moment the nest is left unattended, she moves swiftly, laying her egg among the others before retreating. The host birds, unaware of the intrusion, continue incubating, oblivious to the switch that has just taken place. Nature is full of fascinating survival strategies, but brood parasitism stands out as one of the most cunning and complex. The brood parasitic behavior of these birds is not a flaw, but the result of millions of years of evolution. Instead of building nests, incubating eggs, or raising their young like other birds, they have developed a unique reproductive strategy to maximize their survival and genetic transmission. Genetic and behavioral studies indicate that they have lost the ability to nest and care for their offspring due to natural selection, allowing them to conserve energy and increase their reproductive success. While parasitic birds have perfected their tricks, many hosts are learning to fight back, proving that evolution is a constant arms race. Is this survival at its finest or nature at its most ruthless? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more amazing wildlife content. See you next time.